guys, and welcome to the horror show. I'm Morgue-N.
And I'm Cecil Laird.
And today we're going to be doing a retro review on a 1997 gem by Scott Reynolds called The Ugly.
How did you pick your victims?
Different ways.
How did you feel when you killed her?
I felt free.
Simon Cartwright may be the world's most dangerous killer.
People who kill repeatedly tend to have patterns. Same race, similar age, certain physical characteristics.
I enjoyed killing. Isn't that enough?
The Ugly was written and directed by Scott Reynolds. It's about convicted serial killer Simon Cartwright, played by Paolo Rotondo, as he requests an independent assessment because the psychiatrist treating him within the prison for the past 6 years is not up to snuff in his eyes. So they call in Dr. Karen Shoemaker, played by Rebecca Hobbs, to sit down with him and try and assess exactly what's going on in the serial killer's head and why he did what he did.
I really thought that it was kind of slow to start and kind of difficult to get into, but by the end I was pleased that I had watched it.
Yeah, I agree. It does start off a little slow because we're trying to get to know exactly what's going on, and we're left in the dark for Simon's backstory, but you know, he slowly begins to reveal it over the course of the movie, and it gets more and more interesting as we go. It's not one of those that necessarily just grabs you by the throat right at the beginning.
Right, it's one of those that kind of fall together as you continue on.
You know, I actually was a big fan of Paolo myself, the guy that played Simon, because he was like, you know, playing the sweet sort of bad guy when Dr. Shoemaker sits down with him for the first time, trying to get her on his side and things like that. And you catch glimpses at the beginning, right, where she talks to him and then he's trying to convince her to, you know, let him sit without the cuffs on. And while she's considering it, he goes off and does these little looks and things, stares off into space. And I thought that was tremendously effective in letting us know that there's something really off about this guy, even though he's trying to be all sweet and nice, so.
I didn't really trust him at all. I didn't trust him at all, and I was on the side of the doctor because right. I had a feeling that he was playing her and having her exactly where he wanted her, and she believed him and thought, oh, this is, you know, I'm getting through, and I was like, no, you're not.
And to that end, I thought Dr. Shoemaker, Rebecca Hobbs, did a really good job, personally.
Yeah, she did. You definitely felt her emotion and her kind of roller coaster ride through it, where, you know, she said she believed him, and I felt that she did, but then since you kind of catch glimpses later of what's really going on in her mind and kind of her breakdown almost, you see how she doesn't really trust him either.
Right.
She kind of starts second guessing herself, and she did a really good job of portraying that kind of dual aspect of your brain,
right.
How it splits up sometimes.
Right. You really go on the journey with Dr. Shoemaker, and it works out well that way. I also wanted to touch on the way they actually told the story, because it was very interesting. You know, she sits down to interview him, and he starts to tell what happened with his victims, and he goes into a little bit of what happened with his actual past. And while they do it, what's interesting is they'll actually put the characters of her and him in the story. So like they'll both be in the scene that they're, you know, where they're watching him and what's going on in his backstory.
It was almost like they were playing back a movie, and so they're kind of in it.
Exactly.
It was kind of elevated the whole daydreamy sense of it.
Right,
it was really
right.
cool.
It wasn't just your average flashback type thing, you know, type setup that you get, you know, in TV all the time and movies all the time now. It was, I enjoy when filmmakers decide to do things like that.
Well, and they kept it really real too, with he's explaining a story and you're seeing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it'll cut to something else that's like kind of random, another like random kill, and then they'd stop and come back and she'd say, you're getting ahead of yourself, like, where are you, what's going on? But it seemed like more of a normal conversation instead of,
right.
You know, very stiff. This is happening, this is happening, this is happening. It was like they're talking and he's bringing things up at random, and it also kind of shows his crazy.
Now the last thing I think we should definitely touch on was the gore, because it wasn't very heavy on the CG effects. You know, 1997, there wasn't a lot to do in the movie that was CG, so they relied heavily on practical effects, which personally, when done right, I actually almost prefer practical effects, at least in many cases. And this one, They definitely didn't shy away from throat slashings and all kinds of good stuff. And I know you're a gore person, so were there anything that stuck out to you?
There was. The blood was more like oil to me.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it, I was a little put off because I was
Right.
like, black blood, come on. But later, I almost thought it was kind of artistic in
Yeah.
that it was almost more of the feel of not being human.
Right.
Of just, you know, I'm just gonna take this life and this is just the way it is. And they were bleeding out almost more like a car would, as opposed to a human. And it did have a darker feel to it, with the blood being so dark and not so bright red splatters everywhere. So it was very interesting, just different. You know what I thought was really cool?
I'm sure you're gonna tell me.
Was toward the end when the visitors came in.
No, we don't do that right now. This is our regular episode. If you guys want to know what we liked and what the end was, we will tell you, but first you have to click right here and check out our spoiler episode for The Ugly.
Well, that does it for today's retro review. Thanks for watching.
Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. We really appreciate it. And also follow us on Twitter. We're at HorrorShow666, or you can email us at thehorrorshow666@yahoo.com.
If you've seen The Ugly and you want to let us know what you thought, leave us a comment. Or if we helped you decide to rent it for yourself, let us know.
Thanks again for watching. Stay scared.